Welcome back, everybody, to Weather for Weather Geeks, the Thursday evening edition. We've got a lot to talk about again this evening, so let's not waste any time and get right to it. Before I get to the rain today, I did want to bring your attention to the ice cover on Lake Erie, which, despite the recent warm weather, is still very elevated. It's still above 80%. It peaked at 92, 93% last week, but despite the warm weather, it's still hanging on to a fair amount of ice, and certainly above the average on Lake Erie. Now, that being said, the ice is pretty thin. I certainly would not want to walk out onto this ice on Lake Erie, but that's some pretty resilient ice, especially the central and eastern parts of the lake. Definitely more open water from around Cleveland back towards Sandusky. Other Great Lakes are, of course, not as shallow as Lake Erie, so there's less ice. There's almost no ice on Ontario, which is the deepest of the Great Lakes. All right, let's talk about our rain, and it's been coming down in buckets at times this evening. These are 48-hour rainfall totals I'm going to show you. I'm going to do some queries here. These are radar estimates. But generally, north of I-80, an inch pretty common over the last 48 hours from Newton Falls and Warren and across to Cortland and Kinsman and Greenville down into the Sharon area. Now, once you get south of I-80, amounts have not been quite as heavy. Most of our rain's been fairly light this afternoon and early this evening in places such as Salem, Columbiana, Boardman, East Palestine, down towards Glenmore, Calcutta, East Liverpool, Salineville. So some 48-hour totals down there are closer to a half an inch instead of 1 inch, which again is fairly common once you get up into central and northern Trumbull and Mercer counties. All right, here's what the radar loop looked like when I recorded this at 7:07 this evening. Generally speaking, the rain pretty light, but occasionally gets a little bit heavier, where you see the darker greens and the yellows. This whole radar loop resembles more like April rather than early February. We've even had some thunder and lightning at times today, and we've even had some very broad rotation at times with some of these storms coming across. And west of Columbus earlier on today, even a couple of funnel clouds spotted near I-70 west of Columbus earlier on. So definitely, just more of a spring-like air mass today than what is typical for this time of the year. Not easy to find or not hard, I should say, to find our cold front this evening. It is slicing eastward quickly, and temperatures are dropping like a rock, with temperatures west of the front going from the 50s to the 30s over the matter of a few hours in places such as Indianapolis. We'll be on the warm side through this evening. We need to hit 59 to tie today's record high temperature, and I think we'll come very close to that this evening. And again, it's kind of humid outside. By February standards, dew points in the mid-50s. That's a pretty humid air mass for this time of the year. All right, Eagle Creek in southwestern Trumbull County, the latest river gauge observation there at 5 p.m. was at 9.65 feet, perhaps cresting closer to 12 or 13 feet this evening, especially with all the rain they've had up there. Mahoning River at Leavittsburg officially not expected to go into flood stage any longer. That being said, I'll be curious to see what the new update on this river level is, given all the rain that's fallen over the last few hours. We'll have rain for most of the evening. The rain should taper off from west to east between, say, 12 a.m. and 2, maybe 3 a.m. Maybe there's a stray flurry late tonight and tomorrow morning, but that's not the story at all. It's the wind and the cold. We're going to go from temperatures in the upper 50s to wind chills that look like this at daybreak tomorrow, down into the teens. Now, I've gotten a couple questions on social media. Hey, what about a flash freeze tonight? I don't think we can expect a whole lot of problems, even though the wind chills will be this cold. The rain's going to stop 12 to 2 on average, and then it'll take a few more hours after that until we drop below freezing, and we're not going to dive into the teens for temperatures overnight. The ground's pretty warm given the warm weather this week, and with air temperatures settling between, say, 26 and 29, that's not a recipe for a lot of problems tomorrow morning, but watch for some isolated issues. The wind chills, though, stay in the single digits and teens throughout the course of the day. We'll see a little ineffective sunshine at times for your Friday. Actually, a nice sunny afternoon coming up on Saturday, but you'll need the winter jacket along with the shades. I've got 25 in the forecast for Saturday, so a pretty cold day. Here's our next system. No snow through the daylight hours, it looks like on Sunday. Maybe right at sunset we start to see the snow coming in, but I think the timing on this is mostly in the evening Sunday and heading into Sunday night. And here's a look at our latest model spread with the snow. Now, the reason the NAM model dives off like this is because the NAM is kind of a short-term model, and it only runs out this far. Once we get a little closer, the NAM will have a full graph of the NAM here, but you get the idea here. Pay attention to where the lines end up at the end of Sunday night, generally between 1 inch and 2 inches, and I think that's reasonable. I would not be surprised if someone tried to get 2.5, 3 inches out of this, but I think 1 to 2 is the most likely scenario. So again, the timing on this generally 6 p.m. to about 5 a.m. Sunday into first thing Monday morning. So some slick roads can be out there. And yeah, if you're wondering about school adjustments, not my area of expertise certainly, but with that kind of timing and an inch or two of snow, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some 2-hour delays across the region Monday morning. Then Tuesday morning could be a little bit tricky. That front starts lifting back north as a warm front, and this could come back as kind of a mixed bag of sleet, freezing rain, maybe some snow in the wee hours of Tuesday morning. Now, the European model here has a lot of green on it, but I think there's going to be more of a pronounced zone of mixing here at this time of the day, early on Tuesday, with warmer air aloft overrunning the shallow, colder air near the surface. Yeah, this could be an issue for a while Tuesday morning. Now, I do think that by midday to afternoon, we're well up into the warm sector again Tuesday, and temperatures should make their way into the lower 40s, and then another round of cold comes back in, along with some wind for Wednesday. So while I don't see any sort of cold coming back into the pattern like we had a couple of weeks ago or last week, it seems like longer than that ago, it's just about 8 days ago, I don't see that returning anytime soon. We're going to have the occasional bouts of colder weather, even though the pattern overall for the next week to 10 days is not particularly cold by February standards. All right, I'll have updates on the rain, everything else you need to know about the forecast here on social media throughout the evening, and a full update coming up tonight on the TV side. 21 News at 11 o'clock. Don't forget you can watch this video and all of our weather videos anytime on the Storm Tracker 21 app.